it's Denise, and I'm in my studio this week. I know I had mentioned last week when I was talking about cyanotypes in session 122 that I was mentioning that this week I was going to do a whole new series of cyanotypes. Really looking forward to it. I got all my stuff out. I have my chemicals. I am ready to go. The sun is not cooperating with me this week. It's happily a little overcast and a little dreary here in Southern California, which is much welcomed with all the heat that's been going on in the rest of the country and the world. So I'm not going to do cyanotypes. Instead, what I'm going to work on is another little technique I use a lot, another element I use a lot in my mixed media work. And so I'm going to show you that. And it was inspired by a lot of people in the art show that I just did had questions about one of my pieces. So I explained this over and over again. And I'll show you pictures of that at the end of the video. So it's kind of a recap of my studio session from a couple weeks ago when I was talking about, are you afraid to do an art fair? Well, I wasn't afraid, never am, love doing them. And I just did one this week, which was by far one of my most successful art fairs ever. And I'm going to show you a technique that I use in one of my pieces, the piece that I was asked most about. So let me get to that. Let me clear away my cyanotypes until next week. And I'll get to the project I'm going to show you this week. All right, stay tuned. Okay, so here's what you're going to need. I use my color shapers. I'm just using the Liquitex basic paints because this works better with a looser paint, not a heavy body or even a fluid. And I've got my trusty cream that I use for my white. And it's an all-purpose masking paper. And it's a pretty thin brown paper that house painters use. And it's really great to create layers and in your mixed media artwork or your collage artwork. So here is the simple thing that I do. I love pulling those little guys off. I put a little bit of paint on and I just kind of squeegee it on my paper. I get some pretty cool textures, and this is going to be really great paper to use in mixed media. And you can kind of create, if you want to create some things going on, it's really easy to pull through this. Okay, that's going to be a fun little paper. And then I might take a little bit of it. I'll create a whole colorway with this color while I have it out. And I just keep mixing it right on the paper. So I get some cool colors and some cool patterns. And oftentimes it's just that I want just a solid color. But I could go in and add little textures from before, the color before. Let's slide it all down. And it's kind of fun because you can just keep sliding. Now I've got my cream. If I want to create like more of a Titan, light green Titan. Come on. I know you're in there. And what shows up here isn't really that important because you're going to be tearing these papers up. For instance, I will be tearing these papers up and using them for floral petals, for petals in my flowers and in my leaves. So that's going to be pretty easy to do. Let's see if we can get just a cream. Because I might want that too for some highlighted areas. And the cool thing about working on this roll of paper, first of all, you got 60 yards here. It's under $4 to buy this paper. And I just do a whole colorway that gets me going. And then when it's dry, I just roll it up and it keeps it stored nicely. Now this is a quinacridone magenta. Love this. This is going to be really pretty. I think I've just created some Pepto-Bismol. For my work, you know, that this is nothing. It's kind of a cool texture. I don't need to have patterns. I don't need to have a lot going on within the colors. I just like to have colored paper that I can rip up, that I'm using paint to make those papers. So I think you get the idea. I'm just going to go on a length making red and green papers in different lightnesses, different depths. So I have papers on hand when I get ready to do my next floral, which I have a series of 3 coming up. It's actually going to be a triptych. So these are all the colors that I'm going to use. And what inspired this was a couple of the pieces that I had at Art Walk this weekend and questions on how I worked with those pieces, how I got the papers, what my process was. And so since I can't do my cyanotypes today or this week, I thought it was a good time to show this. So I hope that you like it and that it's helpful to you in your artwork. And now I'm going to show you a little bit of my past weekend with Art Walk and doing an art fair. So stay tuned for that. And okay, so let me walk you through this. I took a 48-inch by 60-inch canvas, laid it on the ground, and started just adding paint to it. I used a brush, I used a piece of cardboard to spread things around, but mostly I used my hands just to get in the paint and smush it around and blend it. And it's so fun. If you haven't tried this before, I highly recommend it. It's just so much fun. And once I got that done, I took the papers that I had made on the roll and added in some vintage wallpaper, some book pages, and I just scattered them over the top of the canvas. And really didn't have a plan in mind. I just dropped the papers, and wherever they drop, that is where I plan on gluing them down. Again, I really enjoy the looseness and the freedom of gluing these papers down and not really having a plan. I know that whatever I do, it's going to work out, and if it doesn't work out, they're just papers. I can paint right over them. Again, this was a really fun process to get down and just glue the papers and look at them and how the colors work together. And then once that was done, I went in and negative painted around the papers and kind of incorporated them into the painting instead of letting them just sit on top. And then I went in with my Stabilo pencil, and this is what I created, a very loose, very fresh, large painting of flowers in a vase, and I was pretty happy with that. And in my planning for the Art Walk weekend that I just had, I used that painting as my main piece and pulled together other pieces that I had done that were in the same colors. And that's how I planned on doing my tent for the Art Walk. I think it's really important, as I may have mentioned before when I did the Art Walk video, when I did the Art Fair video, it's really important to pull everything together, your colors together, your pieces together, so your whole tent looks like a piece of art rather than just kind of scattered and not making a lot of cohesive sense. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and I hope you can use these little techniques in your own art practice. I hope you find it helpful and useful and kind of fun to watch. So if you do, give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have you join me every week for my most recent studio session. Till then, bye-bye.